Hello and welcome to this week's video. I just realized that when this video airs, I will actually be in Washington, D.C. covering the inauguration for my station here in Houston. And that led me to realize I have never done a video really on who I am, what my background is, my career, how I got to do what it is that I'm doing. And I think it's important because I do know that there are quite a few younger gals who follow this channel, 20s and 30s, many of whom are trying to plot their career. They're looking for direction, ideas, tips to help them along the way. And I'm hoping that as I share my story with you, maybe you'll be able to glean some knowledge, maybe a little insight as to, I don't know, maybe a few extra little things to think about to help you propel and get to that next level. And for the rest of you, it's a little backdrop, a little story about how I got to be right here today. So let me first start off by saying, hello, I'm Dominique Sachse. I know many of you have never even heard me say my name before. I was born in Miami, Florida in 1967, and I lived there for 5 years until we were transferred to Lafayette, Louisiana. My dad was a naval architect, and his line of work plugged in with the oil industry that was really starting to come alive in the Gulf Coast states. So his work took us to Louisiana. We were there for about 2 years, and then after that, we moved to Houston, Texas, where I have been pretty much ever since. So we landed here in 1974, and this is where I grew up. I will tell you that there are a couple of interesting nuggets along the way. First of all, I started working realistically at age 13 and a half. We lived in a townhome community, and that community hired a bunch of us kids to do maintenance work in the area. So we would paint the pool, we would paint the garages, the guys would tar the driveways, and it was great because it was my first entree into the working world and what it felt like to get a paycheck, what it felt like to show up every day on time, to do a job, some days fun, some days not so fun. But this thread of work and work ethic started very early for me. And when I say that I started working at age 13 and a half and haven't stopped, I literally mean that. I worked every year. I worked in the summers. I worked at ice cream parlors and clothing stores. And even during the year in school, I worked all the time, and I loved the feeling of being self-sufficient. I loved the feeling of being productive, bringing home my own paycheck, learning how to manage money. It has been an invaluable lesson for me. So that's one thing to, I guess, know about me. The other is, and this is such a funny story when it comes to career choices, and I know a lot of young people struggle with, what am I going to do? I just don't know. I don't know what my passions are. And I will say this, if you don't know, ask people who know you well what you're good at, where your interests lie, because sometimes people close to you, family, friends, siblings, see things in you that you don't necessarily see in yourself. Case in point, I'm 13 and a half, and one of my best friends, Crystal Calderoni, her family is friendly with the Gatlins, the Gatlin Brothers country music group. So we were invited to stay with them in Knoxville, Tennessee, and to see Michael Jackson in Nashville. Thrilling, thriller, amazing. So we go to Tennessee, and they get us incredible seats. We're on the floor. We're dancing to Michael Jackson. We're jamming. We're having a great time. And after the concert, there's a reporter on the floor asking people what they thought of the concert. So this reporter came up to both me and Crystal. And I don't remember any of this, by the way. And Crystal said that she just sat there and froze when the reporter asked her the question, and she sort of stumbled through her answer. And apparently, yours truly grabbed the mic, looked into the camera, and yek, Michael Jackson is so great, and we were dancing and we were this, and oh my God, I love this. And she said from that moment, she knew exactly what it is that I would be doing in life. I don't recall. Anyway, that's why it's so important to plug in with people around you, maybe to get some insight as to where your skill set lies. But when the bug really bit for me was when I was 15 years old, and that's when MTV debuted. And back then it was actually music television, you know, with Martha Quinn and all the VJs. And it was the first time that I had ever seen young people as broadcasters and communicators and talking about information that was relevant and fun for me. And I was glued. And I knew at that moment that I was going to be a broadcaster, whether it was entertainment, music. I didn't even consider news at the time because, frankly, I had no role models at the time. When I was in high school, all of the news anchors were predominantly older male, a few women, but it was very straight and stoic. There was no real energy in telling the story, and I just couldn't connect with it. So I never really gave it much thought. So anyway, now I know what it is that I'm going to do, and I'm either doing music, television, or entertainment, and I'm plotting my course. So now it's time to go to college, and funny enough, what I was looking for in my college experience was really more of an experience, and all of my friends were going to, you know, UT, A&M, everybody was staying in Texas, and they're all great and fine schools, but I just wanted something different. I wanted culture. I wanted outside of the box. So what do? I go to London. I go to Richmond College, just outside of London, and I get my cultural fix. And it's fun and it's wonderful. And I meet people from all over the world, and it excites me and brings into my life what it is that I felt that I had been missing. But at the same time, they did not have a really good communications program. It was a great school for business, international business, but not broadcast journalism. When I came home that Christmas break, out of curiosity, I just decided to go to the University of Houston, and I did a tour, talked to some professors, and little did I know that what I needed was in my own backyard. Incredible hands-on TV production classes, studios. In fact, one of the studios that the students work out of is Channel 8, which is the first public broadcast station in the country. So it blew my mind as to what was here at my doorstep, and I enrolled and started taking classes at U of H, and it was thrilling for me. It was so great to tap into what I want to study, and everything I learned and everything I did just energized me even more. While I was there, my last semester, I chose to do an internship at CNN in New York. And I had always had that New York dream. That's where I want to be. That's where I want to broadcast from. I want to be on the Today Show. I had all of these wonderful, great, lofty goals. And I go to New York and I'm interning. And I'm also getting a little bit of taste of reality of what life in New York is like when you start off, when you have no money. So I came to the quick realization that I'd be living in about an 800 square foot apartment with probably 4 roommates who I didn't know. And it was all seeming very cold and distant and not very feasible. So I made the choice to come back to Houston to start my career. And one of my professors at U of H, whom I befriended, I'd call him weekly. What's going on? What do you know of? Do you have a job? Who's hiring? And he would say, well, there's a production company, or there's this, there's that, but I don't think you're interested. So I was filling my time with temp work and doing a little bit of modeling and voiceover work and all that just to kind of get bills paid. About 3 weeks into it, I call him and he says, I think there's an opportunity for you at Metro Traffic. It's a traffic reporting operation, and they were looking for traffic reporters part-time on the weekend. So I go over there and I do my audition. And as it turned out, the gentleman who was doing the audition was a University of Houston graduate who also had the same professor that I had. So immediately there was a connection, and I believe in all of these divine connections and interventions, and it's never burn a bridge and always make a friend, because it'll amaze you as to how far it'll get you. So anyway, I start off at Metro Traffic and I'm doing traffic reports, and stay with me because I've got some really, really funny old school career photos coming in just a second. So I'm doing traffic reports at Metro, and I'm doing traffic for a lot of different radio stations, one of which is Mix 96.5, which is a 70s, 80s, 90s, more music, more variety, a better mix type radio station. And I was also working part-time at Marshall Fields at the Longcomb counter. Do you see how all of this happened? And so while I'm there, a girlfriend of mine who worked at the Chanel counter next door saw an ad in the paper saying that Mix was looking to hire part-time and weekend disc jockeys, and it said women and minorities encouraged to apply. Now, mind you, I had never given an ounce of thought to becoming a disc jockey, but I had been doing their traffic, and I thought, well, you know, this might be fun, and it is broadcasting, and maybe it'll develop me in a different way that I need to be developed. So I start contacting the director there, the program director and the music director, and I'm a pest. I'm calling every day. I'm beating on the door. Hello, have you got my resume? Can I come in? Anyway, by the time I did arrive to talk to them, the receptionist just gave me this stink eye. You. So yes, be pesty and persistent. So I got in, and obviously they knew me from doing their traffic, and they hired me as a disc jockey on the weekends. And then a few weeks into that, they hired me full-time as a production assistant during the week. So I would help dub commercials, hence the nickname Dominique came about. And I was now working full-time at Mix 96.5, and it was great. And I was a DJ for a couple of years there. I got to meet some amazing people like Daryl Hall and John Oates, and I was really groomed by some of the finest in the business. I was pushed. I did air checks every week with our music director. He would criticize us and help us really cultivate our skill. So I could not have imagined a better background for me. But I'm now about 2 years in, and I get a call from somebody I worked with at Metro Traffic who was the traffic reporter for Channel 2's morning show, which is the station where I currently am. And at that time it was 2 male anchors, a male weathercaster, and a guy doing traffic. So clearly they needed a little estrogen in the mix. So he called me and he said, they're looking for a woman on camera for this job. And he said, I remembered you telling me that you wanted to do on-camera work to become a journalist in television. He said, I think this might be a great opportunity. So I go in and I audition for the job, and lucky me, they already had seen a ton of women who looked the part, but they didn't know anything about Houston traffic. They didn't know their 45 from their 59 to the 610, and on top of it, you've got to stand in front of a chroma key and point to the map behind you, so it can be very confusing. So I did my audition, and I essentially got hired on the spot. So here I am now, 2.5 years into my career, getting an incredible opportunity as a traffic reporter at a television station in a major market. It was thrilling. It was amazing. And not long after that, about a year into it, management and our company changed, and they were looking to make some new hires, and I was then brought on as the morning anchor at our station. So here I am working with Bob Nicholas, who is one of my nearest and dearest friends. He's like a second father to me. I call him Big Daddy, and we had such a good time together. I had this big poof of red hair and red lips. I was a color explosion, but that was big back then in the early mid-90s. And I was on the morning show as an anchor for a couple of years and got promoted to midday and afternoons. And during this time, I'm also starting to develop my work in the community. And Bob taught me the value of not just being a face on television, but getting plugged in, helping your community, working with charities, things that speak to you, where you can lend your effort and your time. He said it will come back to you tenfold. And that was such an incredible thing to learn, and I really took that on, and I would spend half of my time at the station and the other half in the community, emceeing luncheons, emceeing galas, lending my hand wherever it needed to be lent. I found it to be so rewarding, and I loved getting to know my area better, even though I grew up here, but also for people in the community to get to know me better. And I truly believe that that community involvement is what enhanced and got me to where I am today. So a couple of years on the midday show, got to work with Camberell Marshall and Chris Raggy, and starting to get out and about now, covering stories like Minute Maid Park opening, and then some major news stories, the inauguration of President George W. Bush. There was a horrible series of fires that took place on the north side of town. Olympics, I'm starting to get out and I'm getting plugged in to different stories, and I'm developing myself as a journalist, not just in studio, but also in the field, either field anchoring or reporting, and I'm getting a real rush from all of that. And it's a mix from hard news stories to entertainment type stories when new TV shows were being filmed. some in Texas. They sent me out there. But it was a thrill. So I was in the afternoon for a couple of years, and then I was promoted to my late night newscast, where I currently reside at 6 and 10 p.m. along with Bill Biessa and Frank Billingsley and Randy McElvoy. And, I am so blessed because I think you'll be able to see this in the photos, but there is true joy in the work. And it's not just the work, it's with whom I work. It would not be the same if I worked with people who had attitudes, big egos, who were grumpy, who did not enjoy what they did. But we all work so well together. We blend. They say anchor teams are like arranged marriages. You never know what you're going to get. Well, in this case, I am so grateful because everybody that I've been paired with, they have been nothing short of stupendous, all different in their own ways, and yet all magical and wonderful, and have brought things out in me, and vice versa. So I think maybe you sense, for those of you here in Houston, the joy, the energy, just we're having fun. And it's wonderful when you're talking about stories that aren't necessarily so fun all the time, to be able to have that dynamic and bring some levity during a newscast when you finally can tap into that. It's truly a joy. So anyway, this all leads into what I'm doing now. And many of you have asked through the years, I would always get comments about, where do you get your hair cut, or what lipstick color is that, or where'd you get that blouse? And being a woman in this business, it really doesn't matter what you say or how you say it. You're going to be judged first on the facade. And that's okay. I think once you acknowledge that and recognize that and don't let it get to you, I think it's a wonderful thing, and it can be a source of information. So throughout the years, I would always email my viewers back and tell them, where I got my hair done, or what lipstick it is, or where I've been shopping lately. And then one day, and also let me say that we've never had hair and makeup artists at the station. So we've always had to do it on our own, figure it out, and it's pretty much by trial and error, which has allowed me to amass an incredible amount of knowledge and information on hair and makeup and wardrobe, because for the past 23, 24 years, I've had to figure this out on my own. So one day, I did a video and I posted it on my KPRC Facebook page, and it was really silly. It was a reverse angle selfie video on doing a smoky eye. And I posted it, and all of a sudden women are saying, oh my God, I love this, and oh, I love that, and can you show me how to do this, and blah, 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 blah. And anyway, a friend of mine who also has a smokin' YouTube channel, Leanne says, she's younger and caters to that demographic. She saw it and she said, oh my God, you need a YouTube channel. Therein lies the inception and conception and what started it all. And so that's what brought me to you here, this next phase, stage, and chapter in my life. And it has been so fun, cathartic, creative, and joyful to be able to share with you all this information that I've gleaned over the years, whether it's cosmetic, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's work ethic, organization, health, nutrition, exercise, you name it. It's all been a part of who I am. It is something that I have developed and cultivated throughout the years. I'm a restless soul. I don't believe in sitting still. I don't believe in not advancing in life. There's always a way to do it better. There's always a way to get better. There's always a way to improve. And I don't believe in perfection. I think that's like a dog chasing a tail. You'll never achieve it. And I think it's a flawed system. But to improve and to find areas, and we are so dynamic and diverse in all of the areas where we can improve, I think it's great to develop and to cultivate these things. So anyway, there you go. That's where I am, and who knows where it all leads, but it sure is fun and exciting. And that's my story. So I hope you enjoyed and have a greater connection to me and what I'm doing here. Comments, suggestions, thoughts, ideas, let me know what it is you want to see next. Follow me on social media, KPRC Channel 2, especially throughout the inauguration on click2houston.com. You can see my work there. So go out, be bold, be blessed with your life and your pursuits, and I'll see you next time.